It is a Thursday. The Bussin' Boys are with us as usual. Danny and Hawker here. Jess is going to knock some out of the park this morning. We are jam-packed on this Thursday. And in fact, let's start with that Mendoza. They were flying out of the ballpark last night. Julio Rodriguez and the Mariners hosting the Blue Jays. Game 3 of the ALCS. Seattle looking to put a stranglehold in the first inning. It looked like they did.
Oh, sending it deep. Welcome home, Seattle. Greeny, the crowd was going nuts. You're thinking, here comes Seattle. They're going to bury this thing.
That one was 112 miles an hour off the bat. Now we go to top of 3. Runner at second, nobody out. Andres Jimenez, will it get out?
Yeah, well, then he responds immediately. And you want quite a crowd. Andres Jimenez, who, by the way, you can say this about all the Blue Jays offense, had been struggling. This bat woke up in a big way.
That tied the game with 1 swing, and here's Dalton Varsho with 2 on and 2 out.
Off the wall. This is just a home run, by the way, by 3 inches to keep putting it on. 4 runs, and we're only in the 3rd inning.
Yeah, Blue Jays bats wake up for the first time really in the series. And the 4th, they stay hot, bases empty, George Springer.
Oh, get up and get out, George Springer. And this is the only hitter, by the way, who had a home run in Game 1 to follow it up now in Game 3.
His 22nd career postseason home run, tied for 4th all time, top of 5. For good measure, Vlad Guerrero
don't wake up this beast. Do not wake up this beast. Vlad Guerrero Jr., who, by the way, 0 for 7 first 2 games, had been on fire against the Yankees. But now, by the way, 3 hits, and he's got a 1,400 OPS this postseason.
5 home runs for the Blue Jays in the game. Guerrero, you mentioned, was 4 for 4. Blue Jays had 18 hits in the game last night. They win at 13-4. And if you are a believer in momentum, I always say in baseball, momentum is the next day starting pitcher. But the Blue Jays desperately needed to get hot last night, and they did.
They did. And I do believe in momentum. I mean, I don't care, home crowd, not. I mean, you could tell Toronto wanted to get into Seattle and finally do with this Toronto team. By the way, they've led the National League in so many different the American League in so many offensive categories. And the adjustments they made coming into this game, you could tell they had a game plan, and it was against the sinker. Yeah. They wanted to get this pitch up. So instead of chasing it down, they wanted it up in the zone. Look at the location against George Kirby. Get a mistake, and they did. To lead off the game, this was a single. So this is now showing the Blue Jays this is what we need to do. And then George Springer, again, 2-seam fastball, sinker, same pitch they had struggled with, 0 for 17. Get it up in the zone. See that pitch up. Greeny, they had taken it down, did not chase it at all, continued to make George Kirby get that pitch, his bread and butter, a pitch they had struggled with throughout this entire series, into a place.
So what you're saying is that's discipline. Don't chase down low. Force him to bring it up a little bit, and then they feasted.
And especially on a pitch that they could not touch, they could not hit. They were grounding that thing in a double plays like crazy the first 2 games. They adjusted huge in that game. 8 for 14 against that pitch.
18 hits, 5 home runs. They're right back in that series. We'll have more on that game, and we'll look ahead to tonight's Game 3 with the Dodgers and Brewers as we roll. Jess, stay close. Meanwhile, football crew, wake up and look alive. Here we go. Opening statement. Hey, Taylor Lewan.
Yes, sir.
Giving an opening statement tonight. The weekend kicks off with the Steelers.
Tonight, Thursday Night Football, Pittsburgh Steelers. It is spooky season for everybody in the AFC North, not named the Steelers. After they win this game, which they should win, I am ready to crown the Pittsburgh Steelers as the winner of the AFC North. The Ravens have dug themselves too much of a hole. They're 3-1 against divisional opponents, while the rest of the AFC North is 2-11. I love the Steelers, boys.
And Rodgers says he's feeling better than he has all year long. They do look dangerous. Dan, give me a little something out west.
Yeah, Seattle Seahawks are a top 4 team in the NFL. This is number 1, the best big play offense in the league. Jackson Smith and Jigba and Sam Darnold are in the conversation for best quarterback wide receiver duo in the NFL. And their defense and their defensive line, DeMarcus Lawrence came over from the Cowboys. He looks like Charles Haley playing in that all-white uniform. Their defense is one of the, if not the best defensive fronts in football. They're a top 4 team.
All right, so that's one NFC contender. Hawk, how about another one?
The Bucs are the best team in the NFL. And Baker Mayfield may be the MVP. He's playing out of his mind. There's not a single play that he has to make in the course of a game that he's not confident in. There was that time when we thought Mike Evans was the reason why all his quarterbacks played well, but he's out. Emeka Egbuka, Tez Johnson, doesn't matter. Baker Mayfield balls.
He's been terrific. And finally, Will, give me the boldest of them all.
The Philadelphia Eagles are done. Fly, Eagles, fly. It is fall. Eagles fall. They're struggling to run the football. Jalen Hurts doesn't throw the football. They have question marks on defense right now. Their record 4-2 is a pig with lipstick. If CeeDee Lamb catches the deep ball, Cowboys win. The Rams, they don't block that field goal, the 2 field goals. Rams win the game. This one might be a reach People talk about the Buccaneers. If they don't block that punt, the Bucs beat them. They could easily be 1-5, and I think the Eagles are in trouble.
Yikes. Then they've had this mini bye. We haven't seen the Eagles play in what feels like forever, going back to last Thursday. This is interesting. We're going to let you hear from them, and then we're going to show you exactly what their problem is in a way that no one else has done before. But let's start with Jalen Hurts talking about the current state of this offense after these back-to-back losses.
I think there is urgency. Obviously, I have urgency. It starts with me, and it starts with the direction we get from KP and how we want to be, how we want to establish ourselves. And so we all have to help each other. We got to play together as a group. So you're going to have physical mistakes. You're going to have some missed opportunities. You're going to have those things happen. You live with those things, but the things that take no talent, that's what you have to correct before, you kind of learn how to not lose.
Okay, so the question you're asking is what exactly is wrong with the Eagles offense? What are the problems that they are having? We're going to demonstrate it. I'm going to take my rightful place, what I was genuinely born to do. I'm the quarterback. I'm Jalen Hurts here. What are we looking at?
So the Eagles' pass game is very much so predicated on the success of their run game. Many are, but we say that there's two different versions of it, okay? So a team like the Seattle Seahawks, they want to run the football because of their play-action game, right? Now, if you look at this heat map, essentially, the dots are displaying Jalen Hurts' completions this season. So if Greeny's Jalen Hurts right now, line of scrimmage is the 10-yard line, you can see that most of Jalen Hurts' completions are short and really outside of the hash.
Right.
The ball does not get thrown to the middle of the field. And this is why they're predicated on the run and creating some of the one-on-ones on the outside. So I actually want the fellas, come on. So let's show this football-wise.
Yes, sir.
Line of scrimmage is at the 10. You be a safety over here, Will. You be a safety over here. Taylor, Hawk, you guys are linebackers.
Can I be a coach here?
Now, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to this is what I'm talking about, not throwing the ball in the middle of the field. Not throwing the ball in the middle of the field, okay?
Yeah.
If they're linebackers, we're safeties, all right? If you don't have success running the football, we stay with two safeties deep, okay? Now, the place you want to throw the football with two safeties deep is really in the middle of the field, okay?
Yeah.
But you can see Jalen Hurts is not doing that. So the only way to really change the defense in that regard is run the football better. Once you run the football better, Will's got to go down to kind of be that linebacker level.
Down right.
I go deep, okay? Now, those throws on the outside, those one-on-ones to A.J. Brown, they're viable options. If you don't run the football better, you guys get back to linebacker, you get back to a safety, okay? The only other way to change that is to go play-action pass, okay? When you run play-action pass, these guys get a little closer to the line of scrimmage. We get deeper, and then this area is where you would want to throw the football. The problem is the Eagles don't do that. And so what you're seeing is, since they can't run the football, safeties stay deep. There's no one-on-ones created on the perimeter, so every throw is really short and really to the numbers, and there's no willingness to throw the ball in the middle of the field.
Okay, I love it. I love that we did it. I love the intensity you guys brought to it.
Yes.
Lose the helmets for a minute here so we can have a conversation about it. So here's the question I have. It's sort of a chicken and egg thing. Is this happening because they can't run the ball? Or can they not run the ball because this is happening? Do you follow what I'm saying?
This is happening because they're not having success running the football.
And why aren't they?
Well, they're getting beat one-on-ones.
Yep.
They're predictable in their run. They're not as dominant. I don't think that their run game, in your perspective, is enough at the defense. It feels like a lot of their runs is side to side this year in east to west. And their lack of success running the football and then lack of willingness to throw the football in the middle of the field is not allowing A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to have one-on-ones on the outside.
I don't disagree with Dan. They are, from an offensive line perspective, they're definitely missing. One guy's missing here or there every single time. You look at the two big runs they had in the first series of that game. Two of the worst block plays you'll see all year. That's all Saquon Barkley that gets himself 10 and 12 yards during those plays. But from a play calling standpoint, we can talk about the offensive line all day, and they have to make their play caller correct. But there's not a whole lot of motion shift to figure out anything that the other defense is doing. They can essentially set up and disguise whatever they want and then surprise the offensive line when they go into this mid-zone blocking scheme that we're talking about. We'll talk about the Atlanta Falcons later and the way they run their offense. But the Eagles, they're caught between like a mid-zone, a gap scheme, and they don't really know who they are right now, and there's not a lot of window dressing on them to help them from a defensive standpoint.
How does that happen to a team that won the Super Bowl last year? I understand it's a new offensive coordinator, but how does a team that won the Super Bowl last year not know who they are on offense 6 games into the following season?
Greeny, I have no clue statistically. The Eagles led the league last year in rushing. Yards after contact, I think it was like 850 plus, which led the league. This year, they're getting hit at the line of scrimmage.
Yards before contact.
Yards before they got touched.
Before contact. This year, they're averaging like 1.6, which is 32nd in the NFL. This team has no clue who they are. And then also, they don't throw the football well. Jalen Hurts, everybody asks about. You can go ahead. You were going to
my receiver. Yeah. I mean, so you got AJ, you got Devontae. You talked about AJ being so selfless, which I understand what you meant by that. Now, you weren't here last week. So
why are you laughing?
When you last were here, they were 4-0.
Right.
Things have changed substantially since then.
And very quickly. But Jalen Hurts is playing with the distrust in himself that his naysayers talk about. Like, he's playing as if he's not trusting his own eyes. He's not playing with conviction. He's seeing things where he has to anticipate. He's waiting to see him, and then when he sees him, he's even waiting another tick to be sure. He has playing with even a more risk averse than we've seen him in the past. Now, if you look here, there's opportunities on this tape. Dallas Goedert, you're going to see over across the middle of the field. And like Dan talked about, right now is when you throw this football. Yeah. Right? You see this, everything, the linebackers cug up, the safeties are back. Dallas Goedert's waving his hands in the air because he's like, throw now. Jalen Hurts completes it, but it's a tick later than you want. That should be a bigger play.
It should be a touchdown if he throws it again.
It should be a touchdown. Next, this is going to be on A.J. Brown. He's going to be down the seam, and you're going to see once he clears coverage against this safety, he slows down, right? Jalen is actually locked on to A.J., but because A.J. slows down, it's an overthrown ball. Another big play that this offense should have had. Next, you're going to see Devontae Smith in the slot. You're going to have two slot verticals and a single high safety. That single high safety's running to the opposite side of the field. This ball should be dotted because you know if that safety's playing to the right, this seam on the left is open. Jalen gets antsy, gets out of the pocket, doesn't see it, another missed opportunity.
So to sum it up, what is the message we are giving? If someone said to you, for a person who doesn't know all the X's and O's of football the way you guys do, in one sentence or so, what's wrong with the Eagles offense?
If they cannot run the football, the passing game will not improve. Their passing game is built upon having what we call free access on the outside or one-on-one. Hawk versus me and no one else. And he's better than me. And if they don't run the football, they don't get these one-on-ones. If you go to the Super Bowl run of 3 years ago with Philadelphia, in 22, they dominated the RPO game. Dominated it, the run-pass option. And it created those one-on-ones on the outside, and they were great on it. If you go to it last year, they were so good running the football that they forced defenses to play one-on-one on the outside, and they dominated it. Right now, that's not happening. And if it doesn't improve in the run game, the pass game will remain what it is.
And you can see the Bussin' guys aren't buying into them with a bounce back this weekend. We're split on the Eagles and Vikings this weekend, and we're just getting started. Fun use of our fancy new floor. Coming up, will Patrick be cooking with Rice back?